Thank you very much.
Where were you before?
I was in Strasbourg and I came to Geneva and Tunisia and Morocco. Yeah.
Your real career.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you the head of mission designate representing the Kingdom of Belgium, His Excellency Mr. Didier van der Hassel, and the mission official Mr. Tom van der Els, Your Excellency.
Hello.
Mr. President, great honor to be here. Pleased to meet you.
It's a real pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. How are you? How are you?
It's an honor to be here.
It's a pleasure. Real pleasure. Real pleasure indeed.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, it is a great honor being here, and I would like to convey warmest greetings by His Majesty the King, whom you met a few weeks ago at the Royal Palace in Belgium. I think we are very grateful for your visit and also your meetings with the Prime Minister in Brussels and the Minister President of the Flemish region. We think it's a sign of a renewed dynamic in our bilateral relations. So we're looking forward to work on our political and deepening of our political and economic relations, especially since our countries will both have a seat in the UN Security Council. So we look forward to exchange views and see how we can work together within this multilateral framework. We share a lot of values, so I will work on this. And so it's a great honor to present to you, Your Excellency, the letters of recall of my predecessor and the letters of credence by which His Majesty the King is appointing me as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Republic of South Africa.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's good to have you here. Thank you. Let me take a picture. No, it was not. We do a family picture.
Diplomatic family.
A diplomatic family.
Thank you very
I
much.
enjoyed myself. I really did. Spending time with the King was fantastic. Belgium was really good.
It's a great pleasure to hear that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yes. Our Deputy Prime Minister was also present at the Global Citizen.
Yes.
So
That's right, yes.
Yes,
That's right.
and our Foreign Minister was already here in September also to meet Ms. Zulu. So we have really a new dynamic.
Wonderful. It's a new dynamic.
Thank
you so much. Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you. So well.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you the head of mission designate representing the Kingdom of Ireland, His Excellency Mr. Komade Kamala Naveen, Your Excellency.
Wonderful to have you here. So much, very much that you're loving. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, first of all, allow me to say a few words. His Majesty the King of Thailand, Maha Vajiralongkorn, has commanded me to convey his warmest, gracious regards to Your Excellency, Mr. President, and to the people of the Republic of South Africa. The ceremony today coincides with a very auspicious occasions as we, Thailand and the Republic of South Africa, celebrate 25th anniversary of establishment of our diplomatic relations between two countries. So we have seen development, we have seen strengthened cooperations, and I look forward to strengthening cooperations with your country and your government. So on behalf of my government, my king, my government, and the people of Kingdom of Thailand, may I present to you a letter of recall of my predecessor and a letter appointing me by His Majesty the King as Ambassador Operating Honorary of Thailand to Republic of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's take a picture.
Straight to the camera. 1, 2.
Thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you the head of mission designate representing the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Mr. Kuma Malima Rachi, and spouse Mrs. Udeli Malima Rachi, Your Excellency.
Ambassador, pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet you. Good to meet you, man. Thank you.
Your Excellency, it is my privilege and honor to convey the best wishes from my President to you and people of South Africa. And we'll be celebrating 25 years of diplomatic relations next year. And I hope that we will further develop our relationship to a better goal in the coming years. I also wish to present the letter of recall of my predecessor and also my letter of commission to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You take a picture. Okay.
The camera. 1, 2. One more. 1, 2. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. We stand together.
Same story. Into the camera. 1, 2. One more, please. 1, 2. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, man. Thank you. Ambassador, you're welcome.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you the head of mission designate representing the Republic of Peru, His Excellency Mr. Jose Felix Rubio Correa, and spouse Ms. Monica Garaikosia de Rubio, Your Excellency.
Good to meet you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Hello, man. Good to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Mr. President, it's a pleasure for me to send the greetings of my president, to his wish to work together in the promotion of democracy in the fight against corruption, and to work together in the Security Council of the United Nations, all the international and multilateral affairs, and of course, to stress the bilateral relations. And for me, a pleasure to give you the letters of recall of my predecessor and my letters of credit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really welcome. Thank you. Yes.
1, 2.
Thank you. Stand in the middle. Family.
Good. 1, 2.
so much. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great pleasure. Thank you.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you the head of mission designate representing the state of Kuwait, His Excellency Mr. Ayman Mohammed Yusuf Al-Aqsani, and the mission official Mr. Abdullah Al-Korafi, Your Excellency.
Excellency, pleasure to meet you. Welcome. Wonderful to meet you. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I'm greatly honored to convey at the beginning the greetings of His Highness the Emir of State of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed. And secondly, I'm also honored to present to you the recall letters of my predecessor and my credentials signing me as ambassador to your country. I look forward to continue with the good work done by my successor and to build on it. And we look also forward to work with South Africa and the Security Council 3 weeks from now as we are members. So, thank you, Excellency.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
To the camera, and 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. You may join.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, it is now our privilege and honor to invite His Excellency Mr. Ramaphosa, the President of the Republic of South Africa, to address you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Program Director, Your Excellencies, High Commissioner and Ambassadors, members of the Diplomatic Corps and distinguished guests, and all ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my singular honor to welcome all of you to the Republic of South Africa as heads of mission, charged with the responsibility to strengthen the friendship and the very warm relationship that exists between your countries and South Africa. We are officially welcoming you to South Africa during the centenary year of the founding president of our democratic nation, Nelson Mandela. Together with many across the world, we used this whole year to reflect on the values by which President Nelson Mandela lived and the ideals for which he was prepared to die. We remain inspired and guided by the vision of a better world that is more inclusive, more democratic, and more humane. It is a vision of a world that is built on social justice and the enjoyment of the fundamental human rights by all the people of the world. We are welcoming you to South Africa as part of a progressive humanity that observes and respects the quality and indeed the equality of all people and of all sovereign states. We are firmly committed to the pursuit of global peace, as well as prosperity through cooperation and partnership. Partnership that is based on multilateralism, and through the consistent and fair application of a rules-based global architecture. We maintain this position at a time when the unilateral action of others is threatening to undermine the multilateral architecture. The emergence of unilateralism is taking place against the backdrop of rising nationalism, xenophobia, protectionism, and other forms of intolerance that we see spreading around the world. It takes place at a time when the problems facing the world, from climate change to terrorism, from migration to poverty, require ever closer collaboration amongst all the countries of the world. We should not abandon the institutions that have been set up over the last 70 years to mediate, but also more importantly, to manage international relations. Rather, we should strengthen them and, where necessary, reform them to become more effective as well as being inclusive. While we have a responsibility to advance and protect the national interests of our very own respective countries, we must work together to discharge such responsibility without arousing animosity amongst nations. Like Nelson Mandela, we must strive always for the peaceful resolution of conflicts and improve our capacity to prevent conflicts wherever they may occur. We must work collectively to address the leading causes of conflict, which in our view are inequality, poverty, and political marginalization. We must accept that lasting peace and security will not be achieved unless we create a world that is conducive to sustainable development and shared prosperity. So, Your Excellencies, we welcome you to our country, a country that is going through a renewed sense of hope. We are emerging from a period of stagnation and strife. Over the past few years, our economy has performed rather poorly relative to others of the same size. Policy uncertainty, the weakening of public institutions, and high-level corruption undermined investor confidence and public trust amongst our people. We are now firmly on the path of renewal and rebuilding. We have acknowledged the errors of the past few years and are working hard to correct those errors. We are restoring trust in public institutions by appointing the right people for the right jobs, by tackling corruption and holding those who are responsible for corrupt activities to account. Our economy is showing signs of recovery, having just emerged from a technical recession with 2.2% GDP growth in the third quarter of this year. We are working with our social partners, business, labor, and communities on a range of measures to significantly increase employment over the next few years. We held a successful investment conference in October, at which several companies announced new investments in our economy, and this pleased us exceedingly. It was a clear indication that investors have confidence in our economy, and they are still prepared and excited about the opportunities that they see in our economy. We have moved with speed to resolve many concerns that investors had. These concerns include policy inconsistency, policy uncertainty, the cost of doing business in South Africa, labor instability, a burdensome regulatory framework, and limiting visa regulations. Now, these are just some of those uncertainties. At the same time, we are working to address some of the structural challenges in our economy, specifically the extremely unequal distribution of skills, of assets, of land, and opportunities. This is a legacy of our past. The past rulers of this country designed that skills, assets, land, and opportunities would only be made available to a white minority, to the total exclusion of the black majority in our country. We have a higher education enrollment of nearly 1 million students and almost universal student attendance at the primary school level, but there is much more that needs to be done to improve the quality of our educational outcomes and to ensure that graduates are prepared for the workplace. We are also accelerating land reform to unlock the economic potential of this important asset and bring more South Africans into the productive economy of our country. In approaching this issue, we are determined to adhere to the rule of law and the principles that are enshrined in our Constitution. We want to use this process to stimulate economic growth, reduce rural poverty, increase agricultural production, and give poor urban dwellers ownership of their homes close to economic opportunities that they may find. It is our sincere hope that you will convey to investors in your countries that South Africa is a country that is indeed open for business. We are keen to work with you to ensure that South Africa becomes known as an investment destination that offers great returns. We are also keen to work with you on a number of other issues, some of which a number of you mentioned, issues such as deepening democracy, ensuring that there is full adherence and promotion of human rights, making sure that we address the challenges of climate change, working together on issues such as water, issues such as energy, and investment issues. This is a commitment that we make to you and your countries, that South Africa is indeed pleased to have you here and that we are prepared to work with all of you and all your countries on these issues. Let me thank you for the role that you have played and will continue to play in strengthening the relations between South Africa and your respective countries. I wish you all well in the execution of your duties to your countries and to the betterment of our respective peoples. Working together and in memory of Nelson Mandela, let us spare neither effort nor strength, working together in our mission to make the world a better place for all of us to live in. With those words, I'm truly delighted that your governments have sent you here to work here amongst us, and I wish you the best as you represent your countries. And we as South Africans are most delighted to welcome you. South Africa is now wide open for you. Thank you very much for coming to represent your countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, we will now have two sets of photographs. The first one will be the Excellencies with our President. Thereafter, the the spouses and the mission officials and the two DGs will join. May we ask the communications team to arrange the chairs? We need 9 chairs here. Thank you.
I'm the 9th ambassador. I'm the 9th ambassador. It's here now.
Okay. Colleagues, Your Excellencies, Mr. President says, why don't we have the picture outside? It's a beautiful weather.
We want to show all our South African weather.
All right, so that's where we'll leave it for the time being. That was President Cyril Ramaphosa, who's receiving letters of credence from new heads of mission designates that were at his offices in Union Buildings in Pretoria. And so these are going to be the new heads of mission in terms of ambassadors, high commissioners, that kind of thing. A number of countries being welcomed by the president. And in addressing them, he basically started his message with one to try and promote global interaction. He says that international relations need to be more inclusive and more effective, and he was concerned about some of the unilateral decisions that some countries have been making and that didn't contribute to a global peace and better relations in the continent. And so he was encouraging the countries that were represented by these new heads of mission to work in global cooperation, as he said. And then he talked about South Africa and essentially, I guess, a message that he wants them to take back to their countries. And he said that South Africa is on a path of renewal and rebuilding, restoring public trust in institutions here after what he described as being periods of decline in trust. And he said that he was appointing the right people in the right jobs in the public institutions, and also that they were getting all of the problems that investors had in terms of investing out of the way, whether it's getting a stabilized labor environment, removing policy inconsistency and uncertainty he talked about, and also issues including the visa difficulties that some people had. And then he spoke about the structural issues in the economy, inequality at being at the heart of that, and also again another opportunity to speak about land reform. And he says that he was doing this, it was important to do this, to do it legally, using the Constitution, but that it was a vehicle for economic growth and particularly to grow the rural economy. And he said that given the pledges that the international community and investors had already shown this year, it was a sign of confidence that South Africa is indeed open for business and on the right path. And this is the message that he urged them to take back to their home countries. So that's where we're going to leave it. President Cyril Ramaphosa receiving letters of credence from new heads of mission, new ambassadors, new high commissioners. All right, a very good afternoon to you if you've just tuned in. You're watching SA Today. My name